Healing in Marvel Rivals kind of sucks, and this video tries to answer many puzzling questions as to the reasoning regarding why. For example, why were the healers unionizing last season?
Victory cannot be achieved without sacrifice, Mason. We
Healers
know this better than anyone. Prepare yourself, Mason!
Why does everyone, including your mom, have a Lord icon on Cloak and Dagger? And what does this all have to do with literal real-life tank design? Hi, I'm Noob, a healer main, with experience in the role ever since Overwatch 1 was released, and usually main the role in most games I play. Not in Rivals though, and this video is an exhaustive attempt at explaining the myriad reasons why it is the exception. I'm not a competitive player, but that is precisely why I think I can provide valuable insight on the topic from the point of view of a low to mid to high level strategist player. In other words, I'm going to make a bunch of stuff up and gaslight you based on biased opinions. But hey, at least I'm attempting to be honest about it. Now let us begin our journey into healing.
Healers
are like onions.
They stink?
Yes. No.
Jarvis, display the graph. Look at this graph. I made it myself, out of scraps in a cave. Okay, let's be honest, I stole it. This is the armored survivability onion that was reinterpreted by some guy playing League of Legends into a sweaty tryhard chart, which I stole in turn, and I converted it for my own purposes. Let me break it down for you, Chief. This onion is essentially a survival guide. The lower we go down the onion, the worse we are. On the outer layer, we're all good. Down in the center, we are utterly toast. The outer layer consists of our team. How much space can they give for us? We can't really affect this layer other than just keeping our team alive. We can pretend it's there, but let me be honest with you, Chief. We are not in control of this layer. The next layer, avoid exposure. In this layer, we essentially navigate the map so that we don't get exposed to indirect damage. Just stay away from squirrels. The next layer, avoid detection. In this layer, boss, we attempt to stay invisible. We don't want to be seen. If we are not seen, we are not targeted. Avoid targeting. Just don't become a target. Next, if we can't avoid that, at least you can avoid getting hit. Dodge, weave, whatever. Just don't get hit. The last tier of the onion. You get hit. Yes. Final layer. It's Jover. How good a healer in a game is consists of how good their kit is to enable them to stay on the upper layers of the onion. I promise, this onion will help you understand what I'm going to talk about. Also, it's not concrete, it's made up, so don't take me as the sole gospel on this. This is just for illustrative purposes. Alright, let's actually get to business. Roll the tape.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am. I'm fast as boy.
Obviously, higher up in the onion, mobility is the biggest aspect. So to set us some groundwork, let us take a closer look at healers in other hero shooters. The most vanilla support hero in Overwatch, Mercy, is one of the most mobile characters in the game, if not the most mobile with her ultimate. She can hover, speed boost with thrusters to allies, and boost herself directly upwards in the air, providing excellent mobility. Another example, the Medic from Team Fortress 2. The Medic is the second fastest class in the game. He is able to gain movement speed by healing a fast target, and can use certain mediguns to be able to utilize movement tech, like Soldier's rocket jumping. As you can see, both of these widely considered golden standard healers have mobility to spare. Alright, now it is Rival's turn to show what it's got. Adam Warlock. I feel like I'm suddenly playing Gears of War. Look at him go, running around like he just had soiled his pants at Tesco or something. The movement speed is just bad, but I think in the case of Adam, we should nerf it even more. And the developers agree, the nerfs won't stop until this man has no legs. The rest of the cast doesn't fare much better. Out of the Marvel rival healers, only Luna has faster movement built directly into her kit as a passive. Mantis's passive only makes you think she goes faster by adding wind stripes to your screen. You have various cooldown based skills, like stuns, bursts of movement, but since your base mobility is usually so slow, you usually end up using those tools when you're already targeted.
That one hurts.
For example, stealth. Sounds pretty cool, until you consider that stealth gets cancelled out by damage. In a game where literal fighter jets and AC-130s are a thing.
Keep fighting until we have a winner.
Guess you brought a jet to a gunfight.
Another epic victory! Big win!
Doesn't help that the map design funnels you into narrow tunnels or objective areas with nothing for cover. I get the innate sense of a feeling that on the survivability onion, many of the rivals' healers are way below their Overwatch or other game counterparts. If you happen to miss your protective skill shot or countermeasure, you're cooked. The moment I bring up the word suboptimal, you probably got some chills in your spine. You've seen it before. Some nerd brings up optimality and proceeds to flashbang you with an Excel spreadsheet. No worries, I'm not going to do that to you. Essentially, in this game, because locked on or constant AoE healing isn't really a thing, you have to rely on projectile healing. Thus, the healing itself is subject to irregularities that affect projectiles. Your accuracy, the projectile's travel time on target, on literally everyone except Luna that has hit scan, line of sight, obstacles, enemies, a living tree that can manifest the entire wall of China in front of you out of thin air. Even at highest levels, you're going to be suboptimal in terms of your primary healing. This wouldn't be bad in itself, until you factor in the extremely short time to kill that the game has. It takes around 2 seconds for a Punisher to melt a Groot without mitigation. So while your healing looks like this, high peaks to absolutely nothing, the threshold for your target to die is relatively low, even in the case of some tanks. You have limited time to process what's happening, and paired with the amount of flying heroes, you might be too late to notice that your human torch got anti-aired by flak in the fraction of a second it took you to turn your head and look up. Or worse, your projectile didn't reach the target in time. After a while, it begins to be hard to tell if a death was preventable or not. If it's hard for you to tell at times if you did as best as you could, think about your teammates, who seemingly on their monitor saw healing stop and then died in a picosecond. It's no wonder there's a GG no heals epidemic in chat. Projectile-based healing is subject to irregularity, unlike the CHAD, the optimal, beam-based healing. Let me list out its features. First, the most important thing. It lets your patient know that they have the healer's full attention. There's not much inconsistency or arguing if you manage to die with a mercy pocketing you. Second, healing with a lock-in saves mental stacks and lets you focus fully on positioning and things going on around you. Third, with a constant healing rate, it is easier to assess if your target is pushing too much, or if you can afford to push more. Fourth, the mastery over the previous points rewards good communication and coordination between the healer and their target. Just as an example, an experienced Mercy with a good Ramatra can make up an entire minigame out of cycling between the tank's different modes and Mercy's healing and boosting mode, rewarding a kind of symbiosis between the healer and the tank. I feel like especially this is kind of lackluster in the case of Marvel Rivals. There's not many deep interactions between tanks and healers, and that's why they rarely communicate with each other unless something is going drastically wrong. I'm not saying that the healers in the game thus far are bad, since they lack beam healing, but I was kinda surprised not to see at least one hero who caters to this stereotype, since it's such a staple within the genre. But hey, wait a second, I hear you say. Rocket has basically spammable beam healing, right? Precisely. All according to my plan. Because that gets us to
Ultra Breach Supreme!
Healerbot is a derogatory term used for players who only resort to spamming healing abilities. It can refer to fights where the other team just doesn't die due to high healing output, and is usually used by tanks who dedicate their whole game on dueling the pocketed enemy tank instead of going after the squishies. But it can be also used by strategists themselves to express how boring just healing is. The whole debate about healbotting can be condensed into a single decision a strategist has to make every fight: damage or healing. Dealing only damage will risk that some of your teammates are wiped out. Meanwhile, healing in itself won't solve the problem, because healing means that you've taken damage, and if you've taken damage and gained nothing for it, more healing won't help fix the situation. The real issue isn't the outcome of this choice, it is the choice itself. Why do we have to make it? If you think about it, you realize that the real problem is that the strategists in Marvel Rivals are lacking in the way of passive healing. You have to make an active choice to spend all your munitions at healing or dealing damage. Some heroes, like Mantis, requires a lot more skill than advertised, managing between different buff cooldowns and uptimes, healing that is lacking, and also damage that requires careful aim, apparently still being somehow the easiest healer in the game. At the same time, Cloak and Dagger can just decide to only heal or only deal damage without any drawbacks. Some strategists get to make this choice better than any other strategists. Some strategists, like Ultron, don't have to make it at all. He just needs to focus on dealing damage with his laser and use his drone to heal everyone else passively without really thinking about it. Although the term healbot is used by angry people as an insult usually, there is a fundamental design choice behind it all that applies to almost every single strategist in the game as it is right now. As a Phoney main, I absolutely love rocket players, but I've also seen that many rocket players get a lot of flack for just playing rocket because of how right-click oriented he is as a character. While I disagree with the haters that he is supposedly useless, I still think something to spice up his gameplay would be kind of nice.
I am ready to put on a show!
Magneto!
Again, I'm just a metal rank player, mostly because I'm lazy. But I've been watching the big lads play the game from the sidelines. The more you move up the ladder, the more they talk about value. What is value? It is capitalism. You aim to rip the other team off by aiming to do the barest minimum while getting maximum wage. And evading taxes, of course. And especially where that value concentrates is in ultimate abilities. And I've got some good and bad news regarding the support ultimate economy. Let's start off with the good. You have some of the most valuable ultimates in the game. Generally, a burst of healing or shields so high, your team becomes almost... In Luna's case, for up to 12 seconds. You get great value out of activating this on the first enemy ultimate, as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Equivalent of a trap card. This is on top of you already providing free healthcare and necromancy for your team. Now to the bad news. Congratulations! This makes you too powerful to be kept alive.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
Ouch, it hurts! No, I lied.
Your powers are...
Your ultimate, which is just a big area of mega healing, doesn't prevent you from being one-shot. And guess why Iron Man and Magneto are played at high ranks? Precisely. You just know that the moment you press your Q, your time has come. You know that the enemy Magneto has been rubbing his hands mischievously for the entire round, just waiting to go full NBA on your while you're stuck in a Fortnite dance animation on the open. Your job is to essentially open the ultimate floodgates every single time. And again, gameplay-wise this only makes sense. Being a target still feels pretty mid though. And some of the ultimates are boring. Every time I've heard Mantis's ultimate go off, she's already been shot to the pavement. When Luna's ultimate goes off, people visibly start picking up their phones and browse TikTok, since their dopamine-starved brains can't take 12 seconds of inaction. And I won't even talk about Jeff. You already know what he does. Okay, Jeff gets a pass. He's actually fun. The point essentially is that most of the support ultimates in Marvel Rivals are purpose-built for creating stalemates that go nowhere. And usually the only way to resolve those is to just wait for the ultimate to go away, or just to deploy the national nuclear stockpile. Just so you can actually get back to playing the game again. There's no counterplay and it kinda feels mid from both the user and the enemy perspective. Let me briefly return to the Onion. I don't think it's a coincidence that strategists that can transcend the Onion with their ultimates and even basic abilities are the best and most played heroes at the moment. The main point behind my dissatisfaction with strategists in the game is that there are heroes that are too good not to be chosen. There's only the illusion of free choice. You're going to have to take Cloak, or Luna, or copy Luna's ultimate. It is inevitable. Meanwhile, as a tank player, I feel like no matter what tank I'm gonna choose, I'm gonna perform adequately, and nobody's gonna criticize me for it. Because, let's be real, no matter what tank we take, it's not gonna be effective against flying units anyway. Unless you're a Hulk main, in which case I salute you, sir. Thank you for your service. As a gamer who always picks the most unconventional weapons they can find in any game, the most inconvenient of factions, the silliest of items, I just feel like I can't take Jeff or play Adam without upsetting somebody. I'll be realistic. At the ranks I'm at, whatever I pick really doesn't make much difference. We are not career gamers here after all. And yet people are really vigilant about what you should pick, even on quick play sometimes, which kind of feels off. Of course I want to play Mantis and practice with her, but I don't want to shoot my team in the foot if I don't do good with her. I absolutely loathe the idea of counter-picking, and yet at the same time I don't want to be that guy who never compromises or refuses to switch at every turn. As a tank, as long as I know the fundamentals, I don't really need to think about any of this. Head empty, just brawl. Which arguably I like. I don't think the healers in Rivals are fundamentally broken or anything. They're just different. Different in a way I don't really click with personally. Because I'll be honest, my skill level is pretty low and I've loved being a pocket medic sometimes. I just want to do that again. I should probably go back to Overwatch. I think Overwatch players are overall committing the sin of comparing Rivals to Overwatch constantly. I'm doing it right now. That's perhaps not the best. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some dude on the internet. talking to his mic at 2 a.m., wishing he doesn't wake up his neighbors. Anyway, I'm out of time for this one. Until next video, good night. Don't let the Jeff Mains bite.
Stop posting about
Us against the world!
I'm tired of seeing it. I was in a server, right? And all of the channels are just
Co-op time!